Hi everyone, welcome back to Alan Mishgulnik Golf AMG. Today I'll be continuing my discussion on the 3 fundamentals of golf according to the stack and tilt system. And in particular I'll be looking at the 3rd fundamental, which is a player's ability to produce a repeatable curve of the ball, which would then in turn allow that player to navigate and manage a golf course more efficiently. We'll also look at a couple of practical examples. I'll be hitting a few balls, just showing you what the numbers then say, and then finally I'll explain to you and demonstrate how you can practice this by yourself. As I have already alluded to in previous videos, the 3 fundamentals of golf according to the stack and tilt system consist of a player's ability to control the lowest point of his swing, that player's ability to produce sufficient length in order to play a golf course efficiently, and finally the fundamental that we will be discussing today, that player's ability to produce a repeatable curve. So let's have a look at a hook and a slice. So typically a person who slices the ball would have a club path moving out to in, so this would be this blue arrow right here, a path to the left of the target line with a club face that is slightly open to that path, which would result in an axis tilt of the ball to the right and the ball curving from left to right. Conversely, a player hooking the ball would have a path out to the right with a club face that is slightly shut to that path, thus resulting in an axis tilt of the ball to the left and a curve of the ball from right to left. Now it's perfectly fine to have a curve of the ball in your game. What the best players, however, are very good at doing is managing that curve. So there are 2 things that you should pay attention to when you're managing that curve. Firstly, the ratio between the club path and the face to path in order for the ball to land on target has to be approximately 2 to 1. So say if you would like to draw your ball from right to left and for the ball to land on target, an example of that would be a club path of 4 degrees to the right and the club face being 2 degrees close to that path. Now the second thing that the best players pay attention to is that those numbers don't get too excessive. So in theory, if you were to swing 20 degrees to the right with a club face that is 10 degrees shut to that path, that ball would curve towards a target and land on target. However, that would be a very excessive curve. So the best players will pay attention to keeping those numbers tight, and an example of that would be perhaps aiming for a club path that is 2 degrees to the right with a club face that is 1 degree shut. Alright guys, so I'm gonna now just put this into practice. I'm gonna hit a few shots at this par 3 hole just behind me with the GC quad. I'm going to hit 5 shots, drawing the ball into that hole. I'm going to hit 5 shots, fading a ball into that hole. Then we're going to have a look at the data together and see what we can discover. Okay guys, so this is me hitting 5 draws. Okay, now let's try hitting 5 fades. So with a path out in with a slightly open face. right, so why don't we have a look at these shots, 10 shots. So on the top half, we can see the balls that I drew. And if we look closely at the side spin here, you'll see that all five, well, apart from the third shot where I left the club faces slightly open, all other four shots drew. So the ball moved from right to left, path out to the right, with the club face slightly shut. In the bottom half, we can see the balls that I faded. And you'll see here, side spin, it all says to the right, some more, some slightly less. So the relationship will have been club path to the left with a face that was slightly open, resulting in an axis tilt of the ball to the right. And if we look at the club data, for the balls that I drew, I was swinging probably on average, 4 degrees in to out with a face that was closed. And with the shots that I faded, unfortunately I didn't get any face data, but we can see here that my path was out to in, approximately 6 degrees, and with a face that must have been open, otherwise the ball wouldn't have curved to the right as we saw on the previous page. Okay, so if you are a player who slices or hooks the ball excessively, then there is a tool that you can use to help you with that. So what we use here at Golf Tech Singapore is this device. It's called the Tour Striker Plane Station. Excellent for you to reduce your slice or help you reduce your hook, as the case may be. So why don't I show you how this thing works. Okay everyone, so I've positioned the Tour Striker Plane Station here on my right at a 55-degree angle, which is meant for those players who deliver the club excessively on an out-to-in basis. And instead it's supposed to promote a path that is more in to out with a club face that's slightly shut, okay, by encouraging that player to deliver the club underneath that noodle. Okay, so why don't we try that out? So I'm going to try to swing underneath this noodle, promoting a in to out path with a closed face. Now, if you're a player who excessively hooks the ball, then by positioning the Tour Striker Plane Station on your left, it's going to encourage you to swing less in to out with a closed face, which results in that flinging hook, but instead in an out to in path by trying to stay underneath that noodle in your follow through, in your downswing and into your follow through, out to in with a slightly more open face, thus promoting less in to out and less draw, and instead possibly even a slight fade. So why don't we have a go at doing that? I'm going to try to stay underneath that noodle in my follow through. Now, if you are unable to get your hands on a Tour Striker Plane Station, it is of course perfectly okay for you to use a tour stick and a noodle. So all you have to do is find yourself a ball basket at the range, stick that tour stick into that ball basket, and just place the noodle over it. It'll basically simulate what the Tour Striker Plane Station would otherwise do for you. Alright everybody, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. So this concludes my 3-part series on the 3 fundamentals of golf under the stack and tilt system. If you enjoyed it, please give me the thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much, and goodbye from Singapore.